Welcome to the Private Practice Startup, where we inspire you from startup to mastery. We chat with entrepreneurs, experts in the mental health and business arenas, and successful private practitioners to give you the tools needed to make your dream practice a reality. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, and so much more. Here are your hosts, Dr. Kate Campbell and Katie Lemieux.
Hey there, Startup Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the Private Practice Startup Podcast. Wow. I just have to say, we have been having major tech issues. Like, we are 50 minutes into our time that we should have done a podcast. But the great thing is we get to blame it on Zoom because it's not us for once.
Yes, Zoom has been blocking us for sure. We have literally had to climb mountains, and Hillary is joining us today from the Ashevillean mountains. We're so excited to have you here today. Cold or not, you're here.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
Yes. Tech or not, and tech different avenues to figure out how to make things work, and we did. So because we already forgot the first podcast that we recorded today, we forgot to introduce ourselves. So let's do that, especially if you're a new listener. So I am Katie Lemieux. I am one of your hosts, and I am joined by my fabulous friend, business partner, and co-host.
Hey, everybody. It's Dr. Kate Campbell. And if you're watching us and not listening, you're going to see this is a different format. We're actually using Skype right now because we had to jump through so many hoops to try and get this podcast to you guys. So we troubleshooted things on the fly, as usual, and found a great solution.
So if you guys did not join us for last podcast, you want to make sure that you check that out. That was with Gordon Smith. What a joy. I just really enjoyed speaking with him on the podcast. He talks about how niching filled his practice, growing into gifted. You'll definitely want to join us for that because he gave a lot of great little marketing tips as well as some ninja tips on even just a quick exercise that you can do to really figure out what niche you are most attracted to. So definitely want to go ahead and check that out. Today's guest, we have been joking around saying that we have a slew of Asheville folks that we met at our pop-up networking. So today's guest is Hillary Holmes. And if you have ever been in Allison Prier's office and or the infamous Laura Long, you have gotten a taste of Hillary's work. So Hillary's actually a redesigner and color consultant. She's going to be talking to us today about therapy by design, 3 ways to comfort your clients through office styling. So just a little bit about Hillary, and we got to chat before we hit the record button that Hillary grew up both in Hawaii and our great state of Florida and Pensacola with a long stint in New Jersey. I don't know what that means. Maybe she did some time. I guess we'll find out. But now she has settled down into the awesome Asheville, North Carolina. From a young age, Hillary was astounded by the colors and textures she found in nature and knew early on that one's surroundings could be a grounding force in life. A self-taught artist and designer, she has taken classes in everything from Feng Shui for interiors at Moore College in Art Design to Silkscreening at Parsons School of Design in New York. Hillary is certified as a color consultant in the Confident Color System, which I definitely want to know more about. It's a trademark thing. She loves to move around furniture when she's feeling stuck, takes dance classes whenever she can, and spends her downtime with her hubby, cat, and dog at their 70s style ranch just outside of Asheville, North Carolina. So welcome, Hillary.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to finally have you here. Oh my gosh. Over time, I've just really learned not to sweat the tech stuff. I guess that's like, don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
But, you always got to have a backup and a way to kind of figure it all out. But before we dive into your awesome topic today, we just want to say, if you are brand new to Startup Nation, we wanted to welcome you to the Startup Nation family. You are now family, and we have a gift for you that is our A to Z cheat sheet essentials for building and growing your dream practice. So if you want to grab that, just head over to privatepracticestartup.com, head over to the resources tab, and there you will see the A to Z cheat sheet. And included with that is 5 days of practice building resource and guidance. You're not going to want to just read the emails. You're going to want to do the emails to really get you guys a leg up. And of course, if you're a loyal listener, welcome back. It is great to have you. Kate, I think you wanted to share some stuff from our Startup Nation superheroes.
Yes, I did. We love to give a shout out to our Startup Nation superheroes, and we so appreciate Amber Dalzell for sharing this amazing rave review, and we just want to take a moment to give you a shout out and share that with you guys. She said, "Thank you so much for your recent podcast on imposter syndrome. That's one that we did with Melody Wilding, which is an awesome episode. If you guys haven't heard that yet, definitely go back and listen. And Amber says, I'm in part-time private practice and will be transitioning to full-time on December 20th. So congratulations, Amber. She just transitioned because now here we are in January. And she says, I've been following your podcast for a few months now and have greatly appreciated the motivation and support that I've gained. I've also purchased some of your attorney-approved private practice documents as well and really appreciate the detail you both put into the process, as well as your attention to the legal protection. All in all, I want to thank you for what you do. Thank you, Amber, for what you do and for taking the time to give us that feedback. It's something that really continues to inspire us and let us know that we are inspiring you in the way that you really want to be inspired. Lots of inspiration there all around, right? It's that reciprocal feedback loop. Let's take a quick sponsor break here. Our sponsor for today's episode is Therapy Notes. When it comes to keeping your practice organized, you want to make sure that you have software that's not only simple, but the best. We recommend using Therapy Notes. Their platform lets you manage notes, claims, scheduling, and more. Plus, they offer amazing unlimited phone and email support. So when you have a question, they are here to help. Get 2 months free of Therapy Notes today. They are trusted by over 60,000 clinicians. Just use the promo code PPS when you sign up for your free trial at therapynotes.com. PPS as in Private Practice Startup. And if you want to hear more about the ins and outs of their platform, you can definitely listen to our podcast episode 54 with Brad Pliner. Hillary, welcome to our podcast. I'm so excited to have you here because I thoroughly enjoyed meeting you in person at our pop-up networking event and loved our conversation. And I just knew instantly, we've got to have you on the podcast to share what you do for clinicians in creating such amazing private practice spaces for them. So tell us what inspired you to get into this line of work.
I will, and thank you. It's great to be here. So as a child, I would say I was always like illustrating or doing something creative. And when my parents would take me over to other people's houses, I would try to move the things around on their tables because I guess I was bored. I don't know if they liked it or not, but flash forward many years, I started doing it for friends and family just as a fun thing. And I quickly realized that was a way to use my creativity and art. What got me to work with therapists was the lovely, amazing Jane Carter from Jane Carter Coaching. We had a quick conversation at a children's party one time, and she said, "You know, I'm going to introduce you to Allison. You need to do therapy offices because just the way you're soulful and the way, you know, your interpersonal skills would be great for it." And I said, "Okay," and that was that. I mean, that was over a year and a half ago, and so I've probably done about 12 therapy offices since then.
Awesome. That's so exciting. Yeah. We're actually having Jane on the podcast in a couple of weeks. We had tried to schedule with her previously and had all these tech issues at that time too. So I'm not sure what's going on with the tech gods, but at least we got this working today for you to be here. That's so cool to hear that she connected you with Allison and you've since really found this new niche and you've helped a lot of therapists, not only in the Asheville area, but surrounding areas as well. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Correct. Well, mainly Greenville for Laura Long, because that's only about 50 minutes from here. So that's pretty much the farthest I'll go so far in person.
Share with us some tips about office design. I have to say really quick that I'm in the middle of like knee-deep office design for my new group practice. I know you and I talked about this several months ago in October, and we've picked out the paint colors and the carpet. That's all in. The flooring's in. The cabinets and the quartz countertops for the kitchen and the conference room. And yesterday, I had this appointment looking at wallpaper for some feature walls. And there's so many details. And thank goodness I actually love doing this stuff because I'm sure it can be so overwhelming for people. I walked in this wallpaper store and there was like thousands and thousands of books and options. And I can imagine how people must just get like analysis paralysis. Like, I don't even know where to start.
Exactly.
So I'm so excited to hear about your thoughts.
Yeah. So I have a couple of thoughts. I want to talk about 3 points. Basically, I use an ideal client as a roadmap, and I hope that therapists will too. I'm also going to talk about why the couch is queen, and your office is not really like a showroom, so don't be afraid to use soulful decorating. So the first thing I want to talk about, if we're talking about tips, is a lot of us have probably done trainings on what our ideal client is, or at least done some journaling or writing about it. And so typically what I have found in 3 years is that I tend to attract clients that are a little bit like me. It's I don't know if it's on purpose or what. And so use yourself as some of the components when you're designing, and also make a list of what client you're trying to attract. So you're kind of looking at both of those as a balance. So if your clients are ideally, or if who you work with is, let's say they're between 25 and 40, and they're kind of woke and they're into like the vibrancy of the city, that's going to be a very different practice design than somebody who works with 65 and older, who maybe wants a little bit of a more peaceful setting. So I think there's two ways you can look at it. Use that list, maybe ask a friend for a couple of descriptive words of how they would want to feel in your office, and then use that as some data. And then the third thing is maybe go to one of your favorite restaurants in town that tends to attract kind of the same age group or same type of personality that your ideal client would be, because they usually have it down. If a restaurant is busy and warm and cozy and has some really good functional design, that's a great place to get ideas.
What a great ninja tip. I love that one.
Thank you.
And I'm also like imagining this like before and after. Like, I guess you could even ask your clients, like, how does this, what's 3 words that this, one more time, what are 3 words in regards to how does this room make you feel, and see if that's aligned, and then what it is that you want to create.
There's such an energy to design, and when designing a space and creating that, I love how you're starting off with the focus on the ideal client and thinking about what's going to be a design that's going to feel comfortable for them and in align with them energetically, and it's not something that's going to feel chaotic or uncomfortable or anxiety provoking or just not be a good fit, because that does contribute so much to their experience. And like it or not, there still is a stigma about going to see a therapist. So if we could try and make every aspect of this process as comfortable as possible for them, especially, from the instant they walk into someone's office space and they feel at home and at ease, it's just going to help that whole relationship process be so much smoother.
Absolutely. And I said this before, I was on Allison's podcast, and I really do think of therapy design or design in therapy offices as a tool. So people feel more comfortable. Honestly, I have to say they feel more comfortable for what they need to pay, right? And they also feel more comfortable, like knowing that you're like good in that office, like you fit it. Everything tends to feel in alignment and it flows. It's a good therapy tool, I know probably several of us have been in an office that didn't work, and you remember that experience. So it's like you kind of want to do the opposite, for people who are uncomfortable with seeing like too many messy papers, or if they're uncomfortable with a lot of darkness, then you wouldn't want to have the shades down the whole time. So, or the shades up, let's talk about why the couch is queen. That's just a funny term that I came up with because I used to do financial counseling for a lot of years at a nonprofit, and we always use the term cash is queen. So I just changed it to the couch. Basically, you want to think about texture, height, and the design of the couch, right? So I know it sounds funny to say think of the texture, but there are people, especially if you're like in Florida and you're always wearing shorts or skirts, how the fabric feels on the back of your legs is actually really important. Because I think that there are, for example, I work with a therapist right now who does body image work. And, she's really into whether the fabrics are sensual in the room and whether, they're going to feel comfortable and comfortable in their skin. So think about the feel of the fabric. Think about the height of the couch. If your ideal client is maybe a little bit older, they want some firmness to be able to stand up easily. They need arms, and then you get to go for the look. The look, of course, is the most fun part, but you have to look at functional aspects of everything as well. So
that makes so much sense, and especially as you're talking about Florida, like in the summer, it's just hot, and if you have shorts on, you're like sweaty, you don't want to stick to the couch. Like I could just imagine how really like subconsciously those things, kind of play into how we experience the therapeutic process, for sure. Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is subconscious. That's the perfect word. It's very subtle. So I think there are people who are like, wow, why would I hire a therapist for my office? I've got some cute books and I've got a bookshelf from TJ Maxx. Well, it's not that you can't. It's not that we all don't have some type of eye. And actually, I would say every client I've ever worked with has an eye. It's just the reason I would probably hire a designer and get maybe even just an initial consult is to just pull things together that you're not, that you're not doing on a daily basis. Designers shop probably 3 to 4 times a week out in their communities, if not online. And so I just think it helps you from making those mistakes and, kind of wasting that money basically on it. Yeah. Huh.
Interesting. Share with us. I know you had another tip to share with us. Share with us about that.
Yeah. So let's see. This is my longest tip. I won't, talk for an hour here, but, so how to make your office basically not feel like a showroom. I think what happens a lot, especially if we have a quick deadline and we want to upgrade an office by a certain date, is we go to West Elm or we go to World Market or we go to Pottery Barn and we buy every single thing there because when you're in the store, it looks so beautiful together and it has a color scheme and it resonates with us, right? But I think if we fall into the trap of buying everything at one store, you can absolutely tell, especially places like World Market. Not that I can't buy a lot there because I love going there, but just you don't want something to feel too much of a theme. So my biggest thing, if I had one tip to say in this category, is take the soulful approach and include you in the design. So think about your home. Is there a painting that you've had for a couple of years or some throw pillows that really just have this you vibe and you could bring them in as a starting point and you could say, hey, you know what? This painting is something I've always loved. It's soothing, but it's also vibrant. I know it's not going to be jarring to somebody. Let's take a few colors from that and go to the paint store and start there. So there's a lot of keys in what you all already like, right? I have this saying, don't take people on an art safari. So I don't know if you can imagine what that means, but basically, art is probably one of the most personal layers in the office. So that doesn't mean we have to go to Bed Bath & Beyond and buy, the $19.99, the $19.99 pieces of canvas. We want to buy something that is meaningful, but, be careful with really strong colors or really modern, bold pieces as they can be jarring to some people. I have a client who has one of her pieces of art is a picture of a boy sitting at a piano with diving gear. To me, that was the perfect blend of showing who she was and bringing a lightness to an office. Again, art is a start button to design. So if you have a personal piece at home, use it. And I think it will make the room feel soulful.
And I like how you say that because one of the things we always talk about with branding is really infusing you personally because as a therapist, we are our brand, right? Mm-hmm. And also bringing that together with your ideal client. I'm just curious, Hillary, out of the therapist offices that you've been in, what are some of the common mistakes therapists make with trying to design their own office or making it really not warm and inviting? What do you see?
Sure. The biggest thing I see is lighting. So a handful of therapists will use the overhead lighting and not
so harsh. No, not the overheads.
Not everybody, just a handful. And then they just don't know to use maybe different heights of lamps. So you want a variety of table lamps, lamps that are standing, and honestly, light coming through windows is incredible. So if you can turn off those overhead lights and just find some different heights of lighting, I think that's a mistake I do see. Another mistake, this one is probably going to sound funny, but lumpy pillows. We got to rebuy pillows, that's why there's them out there. So give them a couple of years. And if every time a client leaves your couch, you're like, whoa, I've got to really, really,
karate chop.
Yes. Yeah, if they're just looking lumpy and there's just weird cotton sticking out of them, I think it's time to go. It's time to get new pillows. And I would say a third thing that I've noticed, let me think here. It's probably the couch. Either it's too firm or it's probably, it's time to go. It's time to go. Couches, unfortunately, when we want to buy a couch for under $200 or under $300, then it's not going to last for 5 to 7 years, unfortunately. So I would say, because it's your key piece of furniture, just keep that in mind.
And I've often wondered, even for myself, so I rent office space, and, between the couch and me, there's this big glass coffee table. So I'm also curious on how, for me, it almost feels disconnecting, right? Because I'm not that close to you. So I'm just wondering, go ahead and speak on that and things in the office.
That's perfect. I actually am working on an office right now, and that was one of our main concerns. And what we did is we just got rid of the coffee table altogether. And we got a beautiful rolling chair from World Market. Everywhere makes them, where they're just a lot more sturdy, and it's upholstered, and you can really sit in it well. It doesn't look like an office chair from Staples. And that way she could roll towards her clients. And we just made sure the carpet or the rug was flat enough so she felt like she could do that without feeling awkward. And then what we did is I bought a smaller coffee table, kind of to be used as an art table, because her clients kind of get on the floor and do some artwork. And I moved that to the side. So, you can just pull it out, or you could get one with wheels. You could get a low coffee table with wheels. And if you felt like for some clients you needed it there, then you just pull it over.
And what about therapists who kind of want to post their degrees all over the place? Do you find clients feel like that's not the best thing, or put it in the hall, or should we have it at all? What?
I definitely think we should have it. I definitely think we should have it. And I've kind of polled people on this. So that's a good question. I think less is more. So I think 3 to 4, probably somewhere just a little farther away from where they're sitting. You definitely want it to be in the line of sight, but it doesn't need to be right there near the couch. You don't need 7 of them. I think for the most part, as soon as people have sought you out and have had a couple of sessions with you and know why they want to stay, that's more of, seeing those signs is just more of a validation. So I would say keep them, but just don't overdo it.
And I'm also curious about and I know you have a giveaway, which is 5 ways to reboot your bookshelf. What does someone's bookshelf say about them? What are people noticing on the opposite side of the couch about the bookshelf? Because I know that my clients comment out about the bookshelf that's in my office, which none of them are my books. And it's interesting because they make a very certain perception about me and the books, or the way that the office looks. And then we always have a discussion about it, but I'm just curious.
I know. I'm curious to hear what you say too, because I'm in the middle of this office design, and I have these 2 beautiful etages that are, they're like this metal, and they actually used to be in my grandfather and great grandmother's house, which sounds crazy, but they used to own a hotel, and they were in the gift shop, and they're this beautiful antique gold and silver combination and beautiful glass. And so I'm bringing them because they are something that's near and dear to my heart. My great grandmother and grandfather have passed away, and they've just been kind of sitting in storage. So I'm incorporating these and getting all these fun new artifacts and a couple books. Nice. So I'm really curious to hear what you're going to say.
So here's what I'm going to say. Please don't just put all books. So I go into a lot of offices, and there's a beautiful books out there. It's not that I don't want you to bring books into your office. They're definitely an important tool. But don't be afraid to also bring personal objects and interesting little knickknacks from home. Some people, a bowl of dried leaves, whatever it is that really, again, inserts the soulful part of you, or inserts the part of your personality that you want to express. You want to, I don't want to give away the points in the PDF, but basically, you want to get as artful about that bookshelf. And sorry if you don't like the term artful, I'll try to think of another one, but you want to get as intentional. How about that? Intentional about those bookshelves as you do the rest of the office, so that everything feels cohesive. So, what you're doing on a big scale by hanging art and having lighting, you're just doing on a very small scale with your bookshelves. Yeah.
I love that you talk about the alignment process. And of course, our brains, mine and Kate's, are always geared for marketing, right? And everything that you're talking about is when people decide to choose, buy, stay, I guess at this point, they've already made a commitment to working with you, and now they're in your office. And now we have to look at retention. And it really is the office space is also part of the process to really create good client outcomes and things like that. And it's really important because you're exactly right. They could come into your office and feel very overwhelmed by your modern art, or it feels very dry and stark. And they just don't know why, but they just might say to themselves, like, I just didn't go back. It didn't feel right. Like something's wrong. I'm not really sure. So the office space is as important really as any of those touch points that we talk about.
It's part of the brand experience and that journey that we take our clients on. I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So good. I got chills talking about this. So much fun. I'm curious for you, Kate, what did you kind of take away? Because you're right in the middle.
I definitely know the importance of the couch. I love how you talk about the couch as queen because it is so true. It's like the, traditional therapy couch. I've actually had clients that come in and are like, can I just lay down? And like, sure, if that's what you want to do, if that's what makes you comfortable, but that's not how I have to do it. And to hear about the pillows, and if you've had pillows for a couple of years, being able to switch things out and give it a facelift and change the energy of the office. And just thinking about, it also stood out about your ideal clients. I love how you start there. And so many of us are our ideal clients or have been previously on in life and overcome such similar difficulties. So if we can draw on that part of ourselves that is that inspiration, whether it's us or someone that we knew closely, and think about what is going to be most comfortable for them, and really starting there, and then also including our style and our like marrying the two together for them, and then for us, our style and our personality, and just finding a way to convene together in the middle and creating this really unique design and experience. I love that.
Perfect. Well said from both of you.
Well, and Hillary, what do you want people to take away from your message today? What's most important for
So
you?
I think what I want people to take away is I want to normalize hiring designers. And not that I want to do any kind of advertisement. I mean, designers get work and they're all lovely people, I'm sure. What I mean is, even if you just veer out and get that initial consultation to help you mine and fine tune more of what you want to say and express in the space, it's not always as expensive as one would think, and you don't always have to go the distance and do this whole package. The other thing I really want people to take away is, if you're not really ready to hire somebody, which is totally fine, then I hope you walk away with tips today, just feeling confident and playful. You have to stay playful with something like this. It's not a rule book. You don't need to watch HGTV and say, well, I've just got to write down everything those people say. It's still supposed to be light and a fun process to design your own office. So I hope you take some of that away today.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you hanging out with us and sharing your message about office design and really how it incorporates everything as part of the process of our therapy and providing service. So you guys want to make sure that you actually grab the file that Hillary was talking about called 5 Ways to Reboot Your Bookshelves, and books should not be the only thing on that. And you can head over to our show notes page and grab the link there and grab a copy of that. So Startup Nation, we hope that you join us next time. Next time we'll be talking to Michael, our last and final of the Asheville folks, for now, I should say. And Michael's going to be sharing how to go from therapist to consultant and coach. Many of you have been thinking about doing that, or should I do that? So we are going to dive into that topic. And Startup Nation, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Of course, catch us on Facebook. We'd love to interact with you there. We hope you have an amazing and inspired day. And until next time, we want you to stay inspired. Take care.
We'll see you next time. Thanks, Hillary.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us on The Private Practice Startup. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and so much more.